Welcome to the Sensuous Women's Summit. Together, we're going to discover your power to light up your life with passion and pleasure. I'm Julie Jeske, and I am so excited to share with you today's guest, Renelle Nelson. Renelle Nelson is a licensed marriage, family, AASECT certified sex therapist and infidelity recovery coach with more than 11 years of experience. Renelle's a self-proclaimed, self-pleasuring advocate who's always on the lookout for opportunities to spread knowledge regarding the many benefits and advantages of self-pleasuring and self-love. Perfect addition to this conversation, I just have to say. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you for having me.
Can you share a little bit about, those are a lot of different titles. You've got your hands in a lot of different areas. Can you just talk a little bit about what your work looks like, who comes to see you, what excites you about what you do?
Well, I'm a marriage and family therapist, a licensed marriage and family therapist who specializes in everything sex and infidelity recovery. So the clients who see me usually come in individual or couple to either talk about a sexual issue, a sexual concern, or relationship issues. So I really see things across the gamut. Yeah. I do have some clients come in with some depression or something like that, but my really, what can I say, gift is to help women find their sexual voice and couples who want to enhance their relationship.
Yes. It's heavy work sometimes, but fun work too. Helping people find their sexual voices, finding ways to enhance their relationship. That's beautiful.
Hard work.
Yeah. And infidelity recovery, what does that mean?
Well, what I consider myself is I am a certified infidelity recovery coach. And what that means is I offer a 7-step program that helps you take you from beginning to end of affair recovery. What I try to do in informing in the 7-step program is to educate the couple on all the aspects of the affair so they can have the education and emotional support they need to heal.
Wow.
Okay. So I asked them during this time, we don't talk about divorce. If they are separated, they live back in the same home. They usually have to recommit to the program. They have to recommit to love and recommit to the marriage. And so then we go from there. So what is so awesome about this program that I like to tell people is so many times when infidelity happens, even if we stay or if we leave, the trauma exists. The trauma goes with us, and we really never get to heal from the trauma, and we either keep it in the same relationship or we carry it to another relationship. One thing so awesome about infidelity recovery method is this is where we really dissect and challenge those moods, those behaviors, and those thoughts. So at the end of this program, you have the education you need to uncouple couple healthy, or to stay in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you know how you uncouple and you still, the trauma exists.
Yes.
Or you stay in a relationship and the trauma exists because you don't talk about the affair. Right. We talk about the affair. Wow. We shine the light on infidelity.
Yeah. That's so huge. And I think it, it partners so beautifully with sex education and sex therapy, because sex is something a lot of people don't talk about. Infidelity is something nobody wants to talk about. So you're really in the business of talking about things people don't want to talk about.
Well, I call myself a communication instigator. I'm the one who instigator and like to start that mess. I like to get people talking and thinking, because one thing we know about with couples, people say they're talking, but they're not talking about anything. Yeah. They're not talking about substance. They're not talking about what I need, what I want, what my desires are. How can I please you? Yeah. Nobody is talking about the good stuff. Mm-hmm. So I have this funny segment called Communication Before Coming. And all that is I'm just trying to get people more aware of how to talk before engaging in any kind of intimacy. because really honest communication builds intimacy, right?
Yes.
So that's that whole segment. I try to tell people and my clients, communicate first.
I mean, that's so huge. That's one of
Very
the things
huge.
that I've been talking with a lot of people in this summit about is that so many of us in this culture have no experience talking about sex. It's like
None.
people are more comfortable doing sex, having sex, than they are talking about sex. It's like
Yeah.
either they don't have the tools or they think it's like not sexy to talk about sex. Like you want it to be mysterious. So you don't want to talk about it, or they only talk about it when it's bad, right? They're only talking about when they're complaining, you know?
Yeah.
So
And that's what come with unhealthy stigmas. It come with unhealthy stigmas, and then that go to our inner schemas, because that inner schemas, when they unhealthy, we just reproduce them. And with lack of education, not talking, and assumptions kill relationships. Assumptions kill sex, because we always go in thinking the other person know more than us. So that's why I love discussing sexual dysfunctions, because half of sexual dysfunction is sexual anxiety. Sexual anxiety. And I know you see that too, when some people are just so anxious about the act that they just, all these dysfunctions come up. They stay in their head. And I know, like you, I teach, you got to get out your head and get into your body.
oh my
And that's
gosh.
why I love, you have to enjoy giving and receiving pleasure. That's the
Yes.
big deal.
Don't you find that some people are more comfortable doing one or the other? Like they're more comfortable giving or they're more comfortable receiving, but finding that balance for both of them can be hard for some people?
It's very hard, because just like you brought up, it's how we were learned. We were taught early on, and we snuck and had sex. We snuck and got a kiss. We
Right.
snuck, we snuck and did it there. So sex was learned and done in secrecy. So as we get older, we sneak and do it, and we don't think. And some of us were highly sexualized when we were younger, and just like the whole concept of giving your virginity to somebody. So we were taught that we didn't have any rights, is to give on to somebody else. So we never knew early on that we can control our pleasure. This is our bodies. It was just, you really taught to us, it's not ours, it's for somebody else.
Yes.
So we go through life like that.
Man.
We go through life like that.
Yes, I love everything you're saying. And it's all things that I think that, you probably say often, maybe hear other people say, but I'm loving the way you're describing them. Like the language
Right.
you're using around them, I think is making it so accessible and so interesting. And it's like, yes, she gave him her virginity, or I gave it away. Like it
Who
totally,
took your virginity?
who took it? Oh, yes. Yes.
I had no
Right.
control. They took it from me.
It is, our words have so much power. Our words have so much power.
Language is, oh my God. Language shapes your reality. And I know with you being a therapist too, this is what we teach. Those unhealthy inner stigmas create this language that keeps giving us what we want. I have an unhealthy sex partner. I'm not lovable. I can't feel. And that, one thing good about manifestation, it gives us what we want. So we put it out there, and it's, hey, self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Right.
And some of us hold on to dysfunction because it's our normal.
Yeah. Well, there's that assumption piece and that anxiety piece you talk about in terms of dysfunction. It's like the more, I see this with my clients, the more someone's afraid they're either not going to have an erection, or they're going to come too quickly, or they're not going to come at all. The more we worry about those things, the more likely those things happen, right? It's like, it is that self-fulfilling prophecy. The more unlovable I feel, the more unlovable I'm going to be, showing up in the world.
Yes, I agree.
I think another place language is really powerful is how people talk about their bodies and how they talk about their genitals in particular. It's like, the more we say negative things about our body, the harder it is to embrace and love it, right?
And then we get mad when we project on the other people. You know, we project on the other people that they have to make us feel better. Oh,
Oh,
so we put this on, and when somebody meet us where we at, we get we get angry. We
yeah,
get angry when you talk about something so much that somebody try to give you alternative ways to do it. We get so mad,
yeah,
and I'm like, you can't take feedback, but you beat yourself up so much. What do you want?
yeah,
What do you want? And
yeah,
so I know we're working with couples, we learn that about the method of communication. What are the facts behind it? What is the root of the argument? What do you want? You know, and
yeah.
how that's so cushioned into anger and yelling. What actually
Mhm.
do you want?
Right. And when it comes to what people want around sex, sometimes that's really hard for people to name or hard for them
Yeah.
to identify. You know, it's
Because they don't know. They
yes.
don't know. They
Yeah,
don't know.
right. There's
But our partner better know, Julie. Our partner better know. Our partner
so
better
glad
know.
you said that. Yes. It's that it's Sleeping Beauty and 50 Shades of Grey, like all like the idea that some magical human being is going to come along and totally know what to do to our bodies and give us the best orgasms of our lives. But I don't want to have to say it. If I have to say it, it ruins it. Right. Like
Yes.
I don't want to tell you because
What
if
do
I
you
tell you,
mean
it
you
ruins
don't know?
it.
What
Yeah.
do you mean you don't know? Oh, and I love this, and I'm glad whoever watching probably can. It's educational too. We're laughing, but we know it's
I know.
serious.
Yes.
We know
Yes.
it's serious, but we want people to be able and to be comfortable with
Yes.
it, because I have so many couples who come in, especially women. We've been together for this long. He should know. She should know. And I have to step back and tell them we change daily. Our bodies change daily. That's why you need to communicate
Yes.
about what worked when you were 17. It's not going to work when you're 21 or 31. And
Yes.
so, and when we talk about desire, sometimes we compare our desire as when we were teenagers. We're almost 50. We
Right.
can't have the same desire. So I
Totally.
got so many women coming in saying, I have a sexual dysfunction because I have desire issues. Like, no, your desire is there, mama. It's just hidden. You
Right.
just have to rediscover it.
Yes.
Rediscover
Yes.
it. And it's so awesome to rediscover it.
Hmm. I love
But
that
that
reframe. That it's
but that
awesome to
schema,
rediscover it. Yeah.
it's awesome. But that inner schema, it just
Yes.
plays and
Yeah.
plays.
Right. Right. Because like you said earlier, when we learned about sex, it was when we were having to like sneak, right? And have secrecy. We
Right.
learned about sex as relatively young people. Most of us start having sex when we're younger, like, teens or 20s. Yet we
Right.
still only see sex portrayed that way. It's like
Right.
we don't see older people having sex. We don't hear about older people having sex. So often I think we're measuring our sexuality against someone who's decades younger than us.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard
Unrealistic
to, yeah,
and unrealistic. And I mean, and not to say, and then we watch porn.
yeah,
I watch porn,
yeah,
and it set these unrealistic expectations. We don't see the takes in between.
sure.
We don't see them drinking water. We just see this hot, passionate sex.
Yeah.
We see these mind-blowing orgasms. And so we watch and say, that's not me.
Right.
Why? And so in our head, we create these unhealthy schemas,
Yeah.
and we label ourselves as a dysfunction.
Right.
And then
Yes.
we don't talk to our doctor about it. So we hold this internal unhealthy schema.
Yeah.
So we carry that. So what happens? What we talked about is anxiety. I can't perform like that. So
Uh,
we might as well. And then comes the avoidance. If I can't
right.
do this, it's the sexual avoidance.
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. And I want to also highlight, like, yes, we are kind of giggling about this a little bit. And I think when people hear it, they realize how silly most of this sounds. At the same
Right.
time, though, not only are we creating our own individual schema, our culture has created this huge
Oh my
schema
God.
for who we are as women and what sex is supposed to look like. And so often it's presented through this male lens, and we eat it up because this is all we know. And that's one of the reasons I'm so grateful for these conversations, is that so many of the amazing women like you that I'm talking to are sharing similar stories and similar education through different lenses, which I think is really helping normalize who we are and that we get to have different experiences. That sexuality, sensuality, even pleasure doesn't look the same for every single person. Even being a woman doesn't look the same, you know?
No. And I just love to educate. Even if your bills are not paid, you got student debt, you had sexual trauma in the past, you in a relationship that's not what you want, you still deserve pleasure. You deserve pleasure if you 5 pounds overweight, 10 pounds, or even 50. You deserve pleasure. So many things, and it's unrealistic that we set up that we feel like everything got to be perfect for us to deserve pleasure. So we really don't even open ourselves up to it. You know, the kids are crying. The kids are in the other room. You know, we talk about parenting. We talk about this. I got so much to do, but we have to realize that pleasure is our birthright. And we have to realize that no matter what's going on, you are enough and you deserve to give and receive pleasure.
That you are enough. No matter what, you are enough and you deserve to give and receive pleasure. Like if nothing else, if everybody had that, right, inside of them, and then from there could identify what gives them pleasure and how they like to give or receive pleasure.
That is so deep. I mean, that conversation right there. What is pleasure for you?
Right.
I love asking my clients, what does pleasure mean to you?
Yes.
What does love mean to you?
Yes.
In infidelity recovery, we talk about the monogamy myth. The myth is that society upheld that everybody should be monogamous. And that's what society glamorizes infidelity. I mean, if you are a mistress, you get your own talk show, you get your own book, you get social media fame, you get endorsements. Okay. So society, and that's why we call it a myth, because society doesn't uphold monogamy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's another thing that I just like to talk about, of how we really got to start conversating and shattering some of these myths about what does pleasure look like. What does monogamy look like in your relationship?
Yes. Yes.
Your relationship, not your mom's, not your sisters, not your in your relationship, because we know infidelity is a breach of contract, a contract between you and your partner. You come up with that. And I think it's so amazing that it's something not working through communication, you recontract.
Yes.
And people think that they cannot recontract. You can.
Yeah.
You can recontract. Let's revisit this. But people are not talking, and that's when the assumptions are getting in the way.
Right.
So I want a divorce. I want a divorce because it's not working.
Right.
This contract not working. I want a divorce. How about we discuss it and recontract?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Well, so many people don't even create a contract to begin with. I think, you know, it's like one of the things that I've experienced a lot in my work is that most of the folks that I see who identify as monogamous have never created a contract. I mean, they got married maybe, or they made a commitment, right? But they don't talk about what that looks like. And so sometimes what will happen is someone will be like, oh, you were flirting, or, oh, you were really close with this person, and that is infidelity. And the other person's like, but I didn't know that was infidelity, because in my mind, that's not. And like, no one's having conversations about what counts as monogamy, or what counts as our agreement, or what counts as breaking our agreement.
And we need to talk about that. And as I like to teach is a vow or a commitment to monogamy doesn't stop infidelity. Only a commitment to honest conversation. An honest conversation is giving relevant information, relevant to your well-being and the well-being of your partner. Honest communication that build that foundation. Some people think of honesty as being, we hear the term brutal honesty. No, honesty is, and people shy away from it and think you're going to hurt somebody. Think about the consequences. Either I'm going to hurt you with the truth or betray. So let's,
Yeah.
and then it's all how we set the environment also. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I teach in infidelity recovery is
Mhm.
really even before that, we need to start having honest
Yes.
communications. And if you can't have honest communication with your partner, you need to reevaluate the relationship. You need to get to
Mm.
the roots of what's holding you back. And this is a good one. What does communication mean to you?
Yes. It's like we're dissecting all of the words that people use in their regular life without maybe even realizing that they could be talking about different things, right?
Because of assumption. Because of
Yes.
assumption.
Yeah.
Assumption. And internal schemas that we
Right.
were taught. And we don't really challenge our experiences. We take them as bond, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah. This is huge. This is
Yeah.
huge. If people could, one, if people understood pleasure is their birthright, and then two, if we were somehow cultured or raised or educated to be able to communicate in a different way and be more honest and own our part of something, right?
Mhm.
And show up and talk about hard things, that could
Right.
change so much. That could change so
Yeah.
much.
We need to face our fears instead of running from them. And that's what I also love to talk about is that's when you survive. You
Mm.
know, we always run, especially as women, we do everything. And we remember it's a big deal to multitask and be a
Yes.
survivor. I'm on Wonder Woman, I'm this, but we so tore up in the inside because in survivor
Mhm.
mode, you don't heal, you
Yeah.
cover up.
Mm.
And what happens is that shows through and it trickles down in different aspects of our life because we're surviving. We're not healing. We cover it up and just to keep moving. We throw a band-aid on it and keep it moving. And then in our innermost, when something hit us, it hit us so hard and we really don't know why because we never got to the root of the other stuff.
Yeah. Right. And
So
then it's like compounded.
one
Yeah.
thing one thing can make us snap just like that because we're
Yes.
surviving.
Yes. So everything we're saying, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. If we could wave our magic wands, right? And everybody could have these experiences and do these things differently, it would change so much. But how? How do we do it? How do you go from survivor mode to like thriving?
We got to start the conversation.
Yeah.
We have to get in our communities, man, meaning friends,
Yeah.
family, girlfriend circles. We need to change the language. We need to create really creative environment, really
Mm.
supportive, really nurturing. We need to start the conversation.
Yeah.
Just like with infidelity, going around speaking about shining a light on it.
Yeah.
Um, we might not know all the answers, but we need to start talking about them. We need to
Right.
really start challenging our inner schemas, especially if they're unhealthy. We need to
Mm-hmm.
really challenge that and stop making it our life
Yeah.
because it's not working.
Right.
Giving ourselves permission, even at whatever age, that we can still learn.
That's huge, right?
Yes.
That learning. And I think too, being in community, even if it's just two people in community, it doesn't have to be a huge group, but I see people, especially women, really shifting in community because I think one of the challenges is feeling really isolated or feeling
Right.
like I'm broken. I'm the only one who's had this experience. I'm the only one whose partner's cheated on her, or I'm the only one who has this sexual challenge, or I'm the only one who doesn't experience pleasure this way, right?
Right.
And
Right.
that is paralyzing, I think. Like that
It
in
is.
itself keeps us stuck.
Mm-hmm. It does. And I see that we're getting more community, but I would like to see we're getting more of the boss babe and
Oh, yeah.
boss, and it's really telling us how to take over the
How to
world.
do it.
So
Yeah.
I really would like to see that movement far as not just talk about it, but show how to do self-care.
Ah,
Show how to be really, really advocate for relationship and love.
Yeah.
Really how to do that. We got so many groups to tell you how to take over the world, how to run your business, but why can we make it okay to cry? Can we make it okay to shut down? Because only when you deconstruct can you reconstruct. Okay. So making it okay. I would love to have a crying circle. We just get together and cry.
I have chills because I think, being in the business of talking about things people don't want to talk about, I talk about grief a lot in my office, right? And people don't know how to do it. We have in our culture, there's no way to do it. And if we could sit in a circle and cry together or hold each other or wail together or scream together, that would change so much.
Yeah. Well, you remember, it wasn't that long ago. It used to be a show and they used to give each other boxing gloves, just something, and you would just throw stuff. You need a setting like that, kickboxing, where you can break stuff, throw stuff, really get in and let it out. Because when we let it out, we deconstruct it. And then it's not being weak.
Right.
It's not being weak.
Right.
It's not weak when you cry. It's not weak when you hurt. It's not weak when you feel pain. We're human. And we don't let ourselves do that. And so we hold all this in and we keep going because we're surviving.
Right. Right.
And then a little smallest thing as our toilet needs a plumber, we go crazy.
Yes.
Because that's another thing in our life is not working. But we don't think about all the root of why we so upset.
Yes.
And I know I'm joking, but it's just, as therapists, and I'm not laughing about anybody, but the smallest things will take us over because we got so much crap in us. Because if we talk about it, that means that it's hurting us and we're not strong. And we don't want, it's like our survivor outside. If I show weakness, somebody's going to come and get me.
Right.
So I cannot show any weakness. It's like that animal in the kingdom stuff.
But then the more we cut it off, right? And the more we push it down and the more we walk around like this, the less access we have to our pleasure, the less access we have to our sensuality, our sexuality. If I'm cutting off my grief, I'm cutting off my capacity for pleasure.
Yeah, because it's an emotion.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. You can't own one and not own the other.
Right. Right.
And that's one thing about emotions, and I know you teach this too. They okay to visit, but you don't have to live there.
Oh. See, I don't teach it that way. I'm stealing that. They're okay to visit, but you don't have to live there. That is awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
And we can challenge our emotions. I take a lot of mindfulness. Yeah. Emotion is just letting us know that, hey, something is uneasy. And I tell my clients, talk to your emotions, especially anxiety. When you feel that anxiety, you be like, okay, body.
Right.
I know that I'm kind of afraid. Thank you for letting me know that, body. I got it under control. Yeah. Even self-soothing your body and let you know, because you want to soothe your body, because if you don't, it's going to create those internal thoughts. That movie theater in your mind is going to play every bad movie you ever seen of your life.
Yes.
So you're going to have to, don't run from your emotions, confront them, challenge them, and acknowledge them. They're there just to let you know. But if you push them down, they're going to come back and be like, hey.
Yes.
You remember me?
Right.
You put me away 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh. I'm still here. Yes. Yes. That is so huge. I think so often we avoid them or push them down or try to limit them because we're afraid of them taking over or how big they will be, or we don't want to be a prisoner to them. But sometimes by pushing them down, we become a bigger prisoner. It's yes, walking around with the secret, or I don't want anyone to know this about me, or, ooh, I can't go watch that sad movie because if I start to cry a little bit, I'm going to have a nervous breakdown because I'm just holding it all in. So if we could I love this, you've got to deconstruct before you can reconstruct. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
And
I think,
yeah,
oh, go
you
ahead.
talk about that with pleasure. Think about with pleasure.
Yeah.
Remember, in some groups, it was taught that you had to withhold pleasure because
Yes. Oh,
good girls can't give in a pleasure. Because if you give in a pleasure, it's going to open the doors and you're going to be consumed and be this
right.
terrible woman. So we don't know those inner unhealthy stigmas. So we hold back.
Yeah.
We don't even realize we so scared of pleasure because good girls don't get pleasure.
Right.
We don't get pleasure because we so scared of going over the edge.
Right. The other thing I hear about pleasure a lot is that I can't experience pleasure without also feeling guilt. Like if I feel pleasure, it's selfish or it's frivolous. Like there's work that needs to be done. It's not okay for me to feel pleasure. Like I hear from so many people that there is also this negative connotation that's kind of married to pleasure. Do you hear that
Yeah.
from people?
I hear it a lot, and I hear it a lot from women who say they lost their desire and they go in already with negative thoughts. They already go in, so they setting up the environment already.
Okay.
So a lot of times I tell them that you really have to set the mood, you have to set the environment, and I try to tell my women to challenge these behaviors outside of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Challenge them outside of the bedroom because it's too sensitive inside. And so
Okay.
say, and that's how we can redirect our thoughts. I'm gonna think about it, but I'm gonna think about it in the living room, in the couch, and in the car. Because when I get in the bedroom, I'm going not think about it, and I'm just gonna be in that moment.
Okay.
So sometimes we cannot detach from it. So I
Yes.
just schedule it. I just schedule it at another time. But
Okay.
when you're in the bedroom, I just assign for you. You got the schedule already. Think about it then
Yeah.
and get more in your body. And
Yeah.
sometimes when they're in their head, we practice grounding far as
Yes.
um I know it sounds kind of weird. So you're having sex and you be like, find your big toe. But I mean anything to
Ah,
ground you. So that's all we want them to do is to practice anything that get them out their heads and enter their
yes.
bodies. And anything you do, and a lot of times what I real recommend is masturbation. I
Oh.
just like I think healthy sexuality is masturbating 2 to 3 times a week. So
Mm,
that's good for overall sexual health. Um, but it also gets you in tune what pleasure feels like. So when you're in the bedroom with somebody, you remember that feeling and you can call on that feeling and just want to share that feeling.
yes.
And that's the whole thing I want to share. So when you in a mindset of sharing, you might not be in your head
Oh.
because you got this gift and I want to share it with you. I want to share. Guess what I learned today, babe? And if you
Oh.
touch me here, this will happen. Or let me tell you, so you out of the here and more into sharing and giving. And
Yeah.
that's our roles, some of our roles as women anyway. So it's easier. It's
Oh.
easier to share the experience.
Right. It feels less selfish. It feels less like this
Yeah.
is about me. It's more like
Yep.
this is about the two of us, which I think
Yes. Yes.
that can make a huge difference for women in
Oh, it's a
particular.
huge
Yeah.
difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference. But you have to have a partner. And this where it comes to the dialect outside of the bedroom. You
Yeah.
have to have a partner who's committed to
Mm,
this also.
right.
Because pleasure, and we say desire, is not a me, it's a we.
Oh,
Okay. If you're
yeah.
in a relationship, it's not a me, it's a we because you had to talk to your partner. Now, if you want to do this on your own, that's a whole different topic.
Right.
But if we're
Okay.
talking about couples, it's not a me issue, it's a we issue.
Mm,
And we had
mm-hmm.
to address it as such.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we can't do all the work.
Right. Well, and then we're also saying one person in the relationship is the problem, right? If only one
Right?
person has to do the work, then they're the
Right.
problem. And I don't know about you, but I've rarely seen a couple where there's just one person who's a problem. It's usually the way
Yeah.
they
No,
interact.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's what I agree. So when we approach a lot of things as a
Yes.
team,
Yes.
change what happened, lasting, healthy change what happened.
Yes.
And then talking to your partner outside of the bedroom about, I wish we can do more of this. How's it, and critiquing. And then I love to assign like body mapping, conversation starters outside of the bedroom. So when you get in it, you know the game plan.
Yes. Can you share what body mapping is for anyone who's watching and doesn't know what that means?
Okay, body mapping, we have two different things. One you can do on paper. I like to do with my couples. And you know that elementary drawing of your body, we just draw a body, and then you can take colored crayons and just mark all the places that you like to be touched and you don't like to be touched. Okay? You can do it yourself, or you can do each other's.
Okay.
And then I take it in the bedroom. Also, when you building back intimacy, it's a product that sometimes that you're not ready for intercourse.
Right.
So it's part of touching. You know, everybody wants to be desired and wanted, and you need touch to heal. So sometimes people are not able to have sexual intercourse. So what you do is kind of like somatic sexual healing, kind of like it's really just laying down and just saying, can I touch you here? How do you like that? How do you feel with that? How does that sensation? And playing with feathers and eyes and everything, really body mapping. So when you, and that creates intimacy. You're doing a conversation, it's creating intimacy. So when intercourse happen, it's fun because you remember it and you get in tune with the change. Right. You know, this is up, new, and current. This is not sometimes you do it even monthly, because we know our bodies change monthly.
Right.
And sometimes we have some clients who have pain and living with chronic pain. So it's good to body map. When I'm not feeling good, I like it here. But when I'm feeling okay, I like it here. But when it's terrible, I don't like it anywhere.
Right.
You know, but you have to get everybody to know, because everybody don't know, because that's one thing is we assume stuff, and we got to stop assuming and talk.
Well, I love this. I mean, I think so much of the work you're doing with people in terms of affair recovery also resonates with folks who are in relationship or not in relationship, but maybe wanting to be in relationship, who haven't experienced infidelity, because it is about this like communication, creating intimacy, having conversations where you're at, and also that trust piece. Like trust is so essential to recovering from trauma or affair, right? Trust is so essential in creating relationship and being able to trust that I can ask for what I want, that my pleasure is okay, that I can talk to you about this and you're going to be honest with me, that you're going to share your experience. Like that is so huge for relationship.
It is. It's so much stuff for preventative.
Yeah.
And that's why in recovery, we revisit all those steps, because a lot of the steps we take for granted. Infidelity does not mean divorce or the end of a relationship. Right. Okay. And a lot of the people ask me who stays and who goes. It depends on their inner schema. It's so deep, because it even goes back to how our caregivers. Yes. If we had betrayal in our past, and how we dealt with betrayal in our past. It's so deep, and society has a big factor in infidelity. Yes. I mean, your community. Society meaning your community, how your family, your friends, your inner circle feels about infidelity really plays a part of how you react to infidelity.
Right. Right. Your religion, like all of it. Yes.
I mean, it's a big deal, far as it's just more than me, you, and the third party. It's society. And that's what sometimes people need to hear. But it's a lot of preventative measures. But a lot of the true things is just that honest communication and talking about temptation. How many relationships talk about temptation?
Oh my gosh, I wish they did.
They don't. So if me and you are in a relationship and we are married, that means that we're not attracted to anybody ever again in our life.
Right. I just see you. That's it. Yes.
Tunnel vision. We don't talk about temptation to others. And when we don't talk about it, what we do, we go in secrecy.
Ah.
What upholds infidelity is secrecy,
Mm.
dishonesty. That's upholded because we're not talking about it. So we need to
Yes.
start talking about what temptation is, what do we do when we get tempted,
Right.
and how can we communicate and have a nurturing environment that I don't feel like I have to fear talking to you about it.
Right. Yeah, it's not a
Yeah,
threat, because some
it's
people
not.
don't talk about it, because if if my partner tells me that they find someone else attractive, I break into tears and I'm like, you don't love me anymore, right? Like it becomes this huge thing rather than just a conversation.
Just a conversation. And see, that's what happened. And when we start that betrayal, it creates a circle of dishonesty.
Hmm.
And we don't want that circle to start because there's no telling where it's going to end.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to tell you that most of these interviews I've started asking a question, and I have not asked you the question yet. And I know that we're
Okay.
almost out of time. So I feel like I
Okay.
have to ask you this question. And I think it's
Okay.
really interesting that the question's coming at the end of this conversation. But the
Okay.
question is, to you, what does it mean to be a sensuous woman?
Mm. A sensuous woman to me is not afraid of confronting her fears.
Oh.
She is really into reinventing herself.
Mm.
She's not taken over by any other entity. She can learn, but she doesn't have to become.
Mm.
She's really aware of her sexual pleasure, her sexual self, and the energy that she can create. And that's one thing that a sensuous woman should understand. When you can create your own energy, it's just not sexual. It will trickle down to every aspect of your life.
Wow.
That energy, it'll go into the workplace, into motherhood. It gives you strength. And I think to wrap that up, sensuous woman is mind, body, and soul. Everything is connected.
Mm.
Everything is connected.
Mm-hmm.
And she's willing to work on it.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what's so awesome. I hear so many women who say they're alone. I said, how about try to be with yourself
Mm.
and invest in yourself? Just to change in language. Because, some women don't want to get in a relationship because of betrayal and just pass. But I said, if you reframe it, like we talk about, or think of it different, why don't you think about you being with yourself? And
Mm.
being with yourself, you invest in yourself.
Yes.
Investing in yourself sounds so much better than everything. Because when you
Yeah.
invest in yourself, when you find anybody, you want to share.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what a sensuous woman
Mm.
is.
I want to be that. Yes. Yes. Give me that. Oh my gosh. I feel like we have covered so much today. Is there
Okay.
anything you wanted to talk about that we haven't talked about yet?
I just want to let everybody know that trauma cannot survive in a relaxed body.
Mm.
Trauma cannot survive in a relaxed body. So sometimes just being mindful, being in a moment, and just breathing, the simple task of breathing and drinking water can
Mm.
help you regroup. And you don't have to be in this society that's just so responsive. You don't have to be impulsive. Relax, take a breath, and just then think about it. And that's something that I just try to teach because everybody is gotta go, gotta go. We in this scarcity
I know.
model that we gotta get it before
Yeah.
somebody else get it. And I just want
Yes.
everybody to know that trauma cannot live in a relaxed body. Breathe, relax. And that's why I named my private practice Kaleidoscope, because we can't change the way we view things, but we can change. No, we can't change the way things are, but we can change the way we view things. And I think that's so much of today because it's just putting on a different lens, which
Mm.
just makes all the difference.
Yes. That's so huge. And if we could look at pleasure at sensuality, sexuality, relationship, communication, all through a different lens rather than like, oh, it takes work, or oh, it should be easy, or oh,
Right.
I'm making all these assumptions. Yes.
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 Yes. Change your language, change your life.
Oh, beautiful. I think that's how we have to end it. Change your language, change your life.
I'm
So
ready.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
No, thank you. I love talking about it. It's my mission and passion to educate women and couples on these simple steps that can just help you reconnect and change your life.
It's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful for the different tools you've given. You know, usually I'm like, oh, give me like 3 tools you use. You've named tools throughout our entire conversation.
Yeah.
And so I think it's one thing to talk about these things, and it's another to talk about how to put them into action, right?
Yes.
And so people now have things they can do, even just looking at our language. That's one small thing. You know, checking our
Awesome.
assumptions, one small thing, right?
Challenging those, challenging those thoughts.
Yes.
Thoughts are things in your mind that you create. You control your thoughts.
Yes.
You create them. You can control them.
Yes. 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 Beautiful. Thank you. I'm so grateful that you're a part of this conversation. And I'm so grateful for the work you're doing in the world. I'm so blissed out that there's someone like you out in the world advocating for people and educating people. And I'm also grateful to everybody who's watching today. Thank you for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for having this platform. Thank you.
Thank you. And to everyone who's being part of this too. It's like, this is what Renelle and I are talking about, like having these conversations, shining the light, right? It's like, if we can shine the light on this, we can do anything. Things can really shift in this world. And that's what we're hoping for. So thank you. And thank you to all of you. And I will be back tomorrow with another conversation. Take care.
Bye-bye.